Purma lang ha. Ako mo purma nga to. Wala lang kabilya.
Well, while we're down here, may as well take you on a little walk, just to show you what's going to happen here. So this part, all of this is coming down. All of this porch, this old porch, all of these hodgepodge of roofs are all coming down. All of these posts are coming out. I didn't want to take them down now because we're not ready to put a new roof up. We don't have that finance just yet. But all of these posts will be taken down. Here, this porch will not be needed because the whole roof will come out. There'll be new posts brought out to, you know, to maybe about here, if you can see it in relation. Another say another 6 feet maybe from that post there. And then it will be one complete like a huge covered in area. And that'll be sloping away. It'll take all of that water away from the front door. That will not be in any danger of being flooded. And that part, the part where we've dropped down, this will be brought level and the door will be relocated. Not relocated, it will be positioned again so that there's a step there. And even that's not ideal, but eventually when this old house is replaced, this existing structure that we're putting up now will remain. Now, for all of those comments, very interesting comments that we had about the cement mixer, we tried to think of it and put it over in a Western way, and the Western way would be to locate the cement mixer off the site. Everything would be next to the materials. Materials would go into the cement mixer in their various ways. Some people like to go in dry, some people like to go in and it has to be wet to start with. Let's not even argue about that. The Superman team will do what we did. What you're looking at now is 2 days work, and I think that that's pretty awesome. That includes extending that support wall, taking it around and getting it and joining it up, and this is all sloping away slightly off and over, and there'll be some it's a retro thing, but we will knock some holes in through this existing support wall, and we will make it so that it drains off into there. We left this patch here because there was quite a sharp drop off. That's where you can see this new stuff has been taken out. Well, we wanted it down, and we wanted this has to be, we've kept it back to here so that when we actually do that slope off, so that vehicles coming in don't have a sharp edge, and that will be the entrance into the right there. So all of this area will be concreted here, and it will all come around and go off. And then the next part of the job, which will be next week, the next part will be in leveling this. We're going to drop the idea of having 2 strips of concrete. I didn't find that was a workable thing at all, and for the little extra cost we're going to do the whole thing probably about 9 feet wide. Alright, so you can see how this in the rain would be very, very difficult. It's really very steep, and for some strange reason the video camera just doesn't capture what is the incline. It just doesn't show it. So all of this, especially around the corners, experience has showed us that it's a challenge to keep the wheels on the concrete. Alright, lots of people will say, well, why don't you learn to drive? well, I did learn to drive. And that centerpiece, we're going to fill that in the difficult spots. And now that straight run, relatively straight run, is going to be left, and we'll fill that in with concrete, with ballast, and we'll give it a wash over with cement. On those corners and on this corner, from here now it will all go solid. In other words, nearly 9 feet wide. So that's the plan. Takes you down, and that will take us down to the bridge. Going to clean up the bridge, and we're going to put a runoff, a deep drain. See, now coming around this corner in either truck is a challenge that you really don't need, especially in the dark. So this particular part we're going to infill till it gets from about where you're looking at now. There's a slight, this is fairly wide and then it narrows. We'll take it solid from there all around here and right to the point at which it starts into the curve, which is about here. So all of that will go solid, and then the rest, as I said, will be filled in. We'll take that, we'll tamp that down, and then top it with gravel. So now we're coming down. I don't know whether this can give you an idea of how steep that is, but that's where we've come from, and it is a steep walk. Now, when this used to be just soil, boy, in the rainy season, that was a challenge. So all of this is all a runoff. We'll hopefully avoid that once we get the rest of it concreted. And here you can see that there's a diagonal to these two posts here are equal. They're straight across parallel. Then we've got two more posts because the rain used to go into the rice fields and then we'd get a terrific rush off, and we still get some wash down. We're actually going to take this part and concrete this part so that it's all fixed up in the same project as doing the house. But from about here, this is still the concrete. See, this is still the concrete of the bridge under all of that crap. And we'll dig this out diagonally across and put one of the grids, a grid made of rebar that supports vehicles crossing, but then it will allow for a drain off so that all of this wash doesn't come down and mess up the bridge again. As you can see, it gets to be quite a mess. This is all concrete under here. There, look. There's the concrete. And for those who didn't know, we built this concrete bridge ourselves, and then afterwards everybody got to put their name. That's Beth and Taliklik. Taliklik's name is Jenalyn. And that's me. And there's Nana, Maxima. And where did Tate? Let me see. Yes, that's Beth's dad. And this is funny because somehow Balalut's name got missed out. I don't know why. I wasn't responsible for writing the stuff in anyway, but he got his name missed out, so he came down and he wrote his own name in there, which has become a little bit muddied by now. So we made up a special mould for this, two-part mould that you can see. The bottom part went in, it supported that bar, filled it with concrete, and then we put the top part of the mould in, filled that with concrete, and now this bar is deep within that post. And it passes all the way through. That's one, I believe, one continuous or near continuous bar. Maybe to here, 20 feet. You can get those in 20 feet lengths. So that's what we did. Now this is heavily supported by rebar. I mean heavily. We use the same box construction of the rebar as are used in pillars out here in the Philippines, and we laid those horizontal, and we laid them every, I don't know, as I remember, probably about every 10 inches across there. So there's a terrific amount of strength in this, and all of those bulkheads, I believe they're called caissons. I can show you without falling in. You see, there's one, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 4 or 4.5, 5, and they support the bridge across. And they were all done in hollow block with rebar going right down into the base, which was a concrete pad. And then they were those hollowed, almost looked like a canoe, like a boat, and then that was filled with concrete, and that was also tied in to the top. So very, very strong. I wanted it so that it would take a 3 or 4 ton truck, even though we don't allow that. We kept this tunnel so that it would discourage the idea of anybody doing a delivery that they could bring a heavy truck up here. But even then, we've made it so that if some enthusiastic man wants to deliver, we're still looking at rebar and about 4, possibly in places 5 inches of concrete. So that's a little walkabout on our work in progress. This is what we call the tunnel, because as you can see, the sides come right, you know, up as high as 4.5, maybe 5 feet in parts, and it's like a kind of a half tunnel. When we used to ride this, it was as wide. When I first arrived, this was as wide as this path that you're looking at now, which is about 3.5 feet. It was enough to get a motorcycle up there. It was enough for a carabao to move and drag a bamboo sled, and that was that. And that, it was like this on both sides, so you really had the feeling of coming up a tunnel. And right now this is so steep at this particular place now that as you're walking, you almost have to walk on tiptoe, because well, for a Westerner, not for a Filipino, probably an Asian, as you're looking, if you can look now at how my foot bends, well, you end up walking like this, because it is very steep. And there's the house on top. You're actually looking at the side of the guest house. You can't see the red house from here, but there's the truck which we've come down on this video. We've come down from the truck. Look how high that is. So that gives you an idea of how steep this is. And if I go down on one knee, you might be able to get a better idea. Much steeper than you think. Now, very often when we were coming in the red and it was in the mud, we had to abandon everybody about halfway. Next to that tree, the truck just wouldn't make it up there. So we'd unload everybody. Contrary to what a lot of people thought, well, you got to put a lot of weight in there. That little red wouldn't do it. So then we drift back a few car lengths and we charge up the hill, and usually we'd make it. Alright, you've been looking in on a work in progress. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Looking forward to showing you the next day's work, which will be a huge benefit to us, because then we'll be able to get home, we'll be able to park, we'll be able to park in front of the truck, we'll be able to get in without having to trek through all of the mud. That area that we are concreting now was a real problem, because once you're up there you have to turn around to come out, and in the turning, in those 3-point turns, 4-point turns, there's Nana's house now, and the back of the blue, sorry, the back of the red, and the red house. And there you can just catch a glimpse of the actual guest house. And all of this will be concreted by next week, right down to there. Boy, are we looking forward to that. We'll be able to come home, because we're starting work. We had some huge help from the shepherd. That's his code name, the shepherd, and he wanted to help us handle that difficult road, which will also be of great benefit to the different people, our neighbours who go to different barangays which are off that main road. The one that we know, a familiar friend now, is Oping and his family. They use a truck that is not four-wheel drive, so he often has great difficulty in getting about his business. He'll be overjoyed when he sees what we're doing. So we're going to be doing that and probably tackling that by hand. We've tried so hard to get somebody, some professional firm to come in, and the problem here in the Philippines is that they have a sophisticated piece of equipment, and once it goes wrong, it's difficult to get it repaired. Now you can offer all kinds of Western-based suggestions. You know, somebody said, as far as the blue, someone said, well, why don't you just get in touch online with Kia, and surely they will send you whatever you need. Well, we're still in the process of finding out exactly what's wrong with the Kia. We're supposed to go back. Trouble is, we just get so busy, and it's just not always feasible for us to be able to drop what we're doing. We've been trying for weeks after I had the winch fitted to leave it for long enough at the electrician and at the welder to put a back bumper on there, a back bumper, tow bar step, like this little one that we have on the red. We need something like that on the back of the blue. The reason for that is so that people can enter, they can enter the truck using this step and into it, instead of using the side entrance. On the blue there's a foothold. There's a foothold here that people get into, but when they're on the side they seem to be totally unaware of the fact that there's so much traffic that could be a potential danger, and they come in and they get in on the side, and that's what I want to try and change. So here we are, a last look at the whole thing that's been done so far. This is 2 days work, and during that 2 days they had to get used to using the cement mixer where it was going to be placed. I had to capitulate in the end and say, put it where you want. I tried, said, look, this is the way that we do it in the West. We use the wheelbarrow. We dump the mix into the wheelbarrow and then just wheel it straight out. Well, that didn't work for them, so I'm not going to argue it. We are again very grateful to Bokiko, and there's the little tribute logo that we put on, and that's a New Zealand company called Bokiko Limited, and we are so grateful for this wonderful piece of equipment that now that they've gotten used to using it, they know what they want to do, they know how they want to do it, and here it is. That was after the day's work yesterday. It's all nice and clean, and that's great. So all of this is coming out. We're going to run a pathway. That's what Julio is doing right now. We're going to run a pathway up to the side of Nanai's house. And then, as I say, eventually all of this hodgepodge of different things that have gone up as times pass by, this will be taken down and renewed in one complete roof. That'll be wonderful. Meantime, a quick look around. And that's it from me. Thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Bye.